Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be ranking every single vehicle in World of Tanks Blitz at tier 10. The reason why is because in the latest update of the game, we got a big equipment change. Calibrated shells now feature substantially less penetration, tank destroyers have less camo, and in general, these changes are going to completely shape the way that the future of Blitz plays. So in today's video, I'll be talking about everything that's happened and how it's affected every tank. If you enjoy videos like this and you want to see more in the future, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below because videos like this take a lot of time and effort to make. And something else, obviously, you have to keep in mind is these are my opinions. If you agree or disagree with what I have to say, then let me know in the comments. With that being said, we are going to start with the 114 SP2. Now, this vehicle actually got a substantial buff due to the calibrated shells change, because the 114 SP2 always had decent turret armor, but nothing great. But now that most vehicles lost a substantial amount of heat pen, it means that, yeah, most tier 10s aren't going to be able to reliably cut through the 114 turret. Pair that with a hard-hitting gun that does 620 damage, and yeah, the 114 can definitely be dangerous. But it's also got some big downsides. It's still very slow, its hull armor is still very weak, and it still features one of the least accurate guns in the entire game. So because of that, while I don't think the 114 SP2 is bad, I definitely don't think it's anything great. I'm just going to put it into the average category because that's about as special as it is. Next, we arrive to the 116 F3. We have the auto reloader and the single shot, and we can see for quite a few vehicles, we have the auto reloader or single shot or whatever it is, so that you can get an idea of what's better and what's worse. Let's start with the single shot. This gun has 490 damage per shot, decent DPM, and solid overall penetration. I'd actually say with the single shot, the 116 is pretty solid, and I'd probably put it into the good category. It hits hard, it's got good mobility, pretty strong armor, but there are some downsides to the 116. First of all, it features horrible accuracy, which is a problem. With such poor accuracy, it means that reliably hitting your shots can be a bit iffy. It also lacks gun depression, only sitting at 6 degrees, meaning that anything that's hull down is definitely going to give you a run for your money. And it's also got fairly weak track wheels and side armor, so it's quite easy to cut through this tank if you know where to aim. I'm not going to say that the 116 is bad, it's in the good category, but I definitely feel like it's lacking just a little bit. I wish it had like 1 more degree of gun depression, and then it would be great with the single shot. Now, the auto reloader, I'm actually going to put in the super strong, only because of the fact you've got 3 shells, each dealing 420 damage, and sure, the DPM's horrible, but does it really matter? You're able to output 1260 damage in like 5 seconds. That is insane levels of damage for the amount of time it takes. And because of that, the 116 is able to take half of a heavy tank, 2/3 of a medium or tank destroyer off without really much punishment. I mean, as I said, yeah, the DPM's bad, but it's still an auto reloader. And if you add the DPM plus the clipping potential, you can actually sit over 3K for the first minute while shooting, so you'll still beat the vast majority of heavies. You also feature good mobility and decent armor. So yeah, I do think that the 116 is actually a very solid heavy, and I don't think it really needs to be changed at this point. It's in a pretty solid position. Now we arrive over to the BZ75. This tier 10 Chinese heavy, well, it's got 2 gun options. You have a 130 and a 152 millimeter. Now with a 130, I'm going to put it into good. It's a solid gun. It has good accuracy, solid damage per shot at 460, and it also features pretty good penetration. The problem with this gun is that it's mounted on a hull that isn't great. The armor of the BZ75, even with the Cali changes, is still fairly weak. You can shoot the under part of the turret with standard ammo. If you load gold, you're basically going to go through the entire turret, let alone the 3 massive hatches. And not only that, but the hull armor, it's similar to a 5A in the fact that you'll be able to cut through it pretty reliably. So that's one of the problems with the BZ, is that the armor itself isn't amazing. And if you compare the armor on a BZ75 to like a 60 TP or an IS-7, which also features the same alpha, yeah, I think you're just a worse version in that regard. Now with the 152 millimeter, I'm also going to put the BZ75 in good, because it hits hard. It has very nice alpha damage at 780. It also features 620 on the standard, but the accuracy is horrible. And accuracy actually got worse in the latest update because Refined Gun got nerfed, and while V-Stabs got better, that doesn't help you base dispersion. So because of that, the BZ-75 is definitely not great in terms of hitting shots if you're using the large caliber gun. And with penetration being very important, you're not going to be able to cut through most super heavies. So a mouse, you can't pen it anywhere apart from the lower plate. Even the turret, if it's running enhanced armor, you can't pen a mouse turret with the BZ-75 after the enhanced armor and the calibrated shells changes. That's not even mentioning the fact you can't cut through an E100 turret. Like, not having premium rounds is definitely a problem. So I think both guns are decent in their own strengths and weaknesses, but overall, I'm going to leave the BZ-75 in good. The BZ-T-70 is going to go into the trash category. It's the worst tank in tier 10 right now. The simple reason is because it has the worst accuracy with the highest alpha damage. And when you combine those two things, it's a really bad combo. Let me ask you this. Would you rather drive a BZ-T-70, which does 910 damage, has the worst dispersion, has pretty poor DPM, horrible mobility, it's large, and an incredibly unarmored target, or would you rather drive a VZ-55, which can deal 460 damage twice, and it's able to have crazy good mobility, including reverse speed. It has good gun depression and very good armor. With a double shot 460, that is 920 damage. So you're dealing the same damage as the BZ-75, and because of how long this tank's aiming time is, you're basically dealing the damage in about the same time you'd probably take to aim and shoot in the BZ-T. So, like, what advantage do you have in that tank? I mean, sure, you got Hesh, and, like, don't get me wrong, being able to pen a Hesh, and especially if you can get a 1500 or 1700 Maxwell if you're firing as a standard HE is crazy. But you can also just drive a 4005 or a 183, and you'll be substantially better off with both of those vehicles. At the end of the day, the BZ-T-70, it has moments when it can do well, but unfortunately, most of the time you drive the tank, it really just sucks. So I'm going to be leaving it in the trash category. I do find it funny, though, when people try to tell me it's OP when I'm sitting at barely a 60% win rate in the thing. Next, that brings us to the WZ-111 5A. Now, the 5A, unfortunately, it got nerfed. I would have put it in super strong, but I think now we're going to put it into good. The 5A used to be a very, very dangerous tank because it had enough heat penetration to cut through E100 turrets, mouse turret cheeks very reliably. But now that its heat penetration got nerfed due to the Cali changes, well, the 5A really struggles to cut through a lot of heavies. That's a problem. It only has like 326 mils of pen. That's literally garbage. I do not understand why Wargaming refuses to buff its heat penetration. It's been something that it's needed for years. Heck, the Tech Tree WZ-111 1.4 gets like 20, 30 more mils of pen than the 5A. It makes no sense, judging that they feature the same gun. It's just Wargaming screwing the vehicle over for literally no reason. But because of that, the 5A, it's not going to make it out of the good category. I like the gun. It's hard with 440 damage per shot. You have solid gun depression at 7 degrees, a really nice top speed. It's got everything you'd want in a heavy, but not being able to cut through your opponents is a serious problem. So because of that, it's not going to go past good for me. We have the WZ-113. This tank is rather interesting because it features the highest heat penetration in tier 10 for a heavy. And that's nice, especially with these changes, because it means you still have a substantial amount to cut through just about any armor profile in front of you. While a lot of these other heavies got nerfed in their pen, the 113 really doesn't feel like it got much of a change. So because of that, the gun's very nice. And then when it comes to the armor, well, the armor got better, because now tanks are going to struggle more to cut through your turret cheeks. The upper plate, which was kind of weak against standard ammo, is now actually going to be decently strong due to the slight nerf in AP. And because of that, I actually think the 113 is going easily into super strong. It's always been a very good tank with the mobility, the DPM, and now that the armor's gotten better, and now that the overall capabilities of the 113 are just much better due to the lowering of heat pen, yeah, I think it's a pretty solid tank, so we're definitely going to put it in the super strong. We have the WZ-113 GFT, and this tank is making its way into OP, not even a doubt in my mind. With the calibrated shells nerf, the 113G, which was already a nearly impervious tank, is now virtually impossible for every tier 10 heavy to cut through unless you have the lower plate exposed. That's insane. I mean, it has almost 400 millimeters of armor when using gun depression and like 360 on flat, but now that most heavies don't even get close to 360 pen, yeah, it's pretty dumb. So the 113G is definitely making its way into the OP category just because of the armor. And the mobility's not bad, and neither is the gun. It hits for 650 alpha, has solid DPM, and even decent accuracy. So yeah, it was already great, and now it's just insane. WZ121, I'm actually going to be putting into super strong. For me personally, I'd almost put it into the OP category. When I 3-marked the 121, I was able to average 4,600 damage, and I finished the 3-marking session in like 36 games. It is, I think, the fastest a tank has been 3-marked in tier 10, and it's just because of the 440 damage, the fact that it gets tungsten, crazy good mobility, and an insane aiming time. You add all that together, and yeah, the 121 is no joke. So for me, that thing's going in super strong. 121B is also going to be going in the super strong. Hits a little bit less hard, but it's still a chunky alpha at 380. Has great DPM, solid armor, and mobility. And if that's not enough, it also has good accuracy and adaptive concealment, meaning that you can see when you've been spotted immediately and get into cover faster because of that. That's huge. People don't realize how much information you get when noticing, oh, I'm immediately spotted. That gives you the ability to back in the cover without enemies being able to react or even know you were there. It's really nice, especially if you want to get some quick shots out because you'll get undetected faster than they will. In general, yeah, the 121B is great. WZ132-1, I'm going to put into good. I actually just 3-marked this tank the other day. And it does have some great strengths. It hits hard, 360 damage, it has good mobility, and it's got great view range. But there are massive downsides and flaws with the 132-1. First of all, it doesn't feature a lot of pen now, obviously because it's a lost pen with Kali. Not only that, but its gun can be a bit troll sometimes. And when you pair that with the fact it has the worst fuel tank in tier 10, literally every shot you get hit, if it hits you in the front hull, you have a 50-50 of getting lit on fire. Your ammo rack is also really weak and easily blown up. Like, the thing's made out of tin foil. It is just so easy to damage the modules on the 132-1. And because of that, it is genuinely a challenging tank to drive. You make one misplay, you're out of the game just like that. So for me, I think it's a good tank. I think that the strengths it has allows it to play great, but I still don't know why Wargaming just won't give it 7 degrees of gun depression. I think that alone would solve 9 out of the 10 problems it has. The 60 TP is going into OP. It's always been an insane tank, and it just keeps getting better. I mean, with tanks having less penetration, now the upper plate of the 60 TP is even harder to cut through. And if you pair that with enhanced armor getting a buff, it's even harder to cut through. If that's not enough, the 60 TP now being able to take advantage of buffed V-stabs means that you're shooting more accurately on the move and your aiming time is even faster. Finally, the 60 TP is still impervious when using gun depression. When I think of impossible hull-down tanks, I think the Rhino, 60 TP, and Concept are all kind of in that category, same for the Kron. But the reason the 60 TP is so dangerous is because it hits for 700 when activating tungsten. It's just crazy what you can get away with, and you also get like 2,700 health. Like, it checks off every single box. For me, I'm putting the 60 in OP. Caro 45 ton also makes its way into OP. First of all, it has APCR premium, which means that the Kali change has actually buffed its premium penetration. Not only that, but it features over 3,000 damage per minute with a 4-shell 360 clip. I mean, do I even need to say anything more? The tank can deal like 1,500 damage in a clip, or 1,400, whatever it is. It deals an insane amount of clipping damage. It's able to deal that damage pretty fast, and it's got great mobility. Plus, it has 8 degrees of gun depression and pretty good armor, especially after these changes. It's actually very unreliable to cut through a hull-down Caro. Like, genuinely, the tank has so much going for it. Sure, the gun's not the best in terms of accuracy, but it doesn't really matter when you have everything else. Caro is easily one of the best tanks in tier 10. CS63, I'm going to be putting into good. The CS has some great capabilities. It actually gained a little bit of pen due to the Kali changes. And not only that, but it has tungsten, it has gear oil. It's got good gun depression, rather troll turret armor. So in that regard, it's got some great strengths. But it's also got some big downsides. The premium pen is still pretty bad on the tier 10, and it also doesn't feature much armor. And while it does get adaptive concealment and a lot of these great capabilities, the question I always ask is, what advantage does the CS have over the Leopard 1? And I really feel like the only advantage is, I guess, tungsten and maybe a little bit better turret armor, but like, I just don't feel that's enough to put it over the edge for me. So I'm going to leave the CS63 in good. I think it is a good tank, and in a great player's hands, it can be amazing, but in a great player's hands, a whole bunch of other tier 10 mediums like the E50M, the Progetto, the Caro can also be amazing. So for me, I think good is where I'm going to leave it. The Kron is going to make its way into OP. Sure, the Kron lost a lot of pen. It now has 330 mils of heat, which is pretty garbage. You're not going to be able to cut through a mouse reliably. You're not going to be able to cut through an E100 reliably. But you still have enough pen that you'll go through most weak points pretty reliably. You get reticle Cali, meaning that you're pretty accurate. And at the end of the day, nothing can pen you, especially with the Cali changes. Whatever could have penned you before now really has no chance of cutting through the turret. The Kron, simply put, has the dumbest armor profile when hull down because you get a 3-shell 2600, 2700 DPM clip, and then you also have an auto-reloading capability. You have 9 degrees of gun depression. You have decent mobility, 2700 health for some reason. Like, everything about the Kron is ridiculous. It really is such a stupid tank, and it gets away with way more than it deserves. So for me, Kron's going into OP. It needs to be nerfed. Personally, I would take away the auto-reloading capability, or I would nerf the DPM. Give it the 116 F3 treatment. Why not give it like 2100 DPM? Then it would be much less dangerous if it dumps the clip, because it would take substantially longer to get the shells back. It doesn't deserve DPM. I would personally nerf it in that regard. We have the Lion, which I'm going to put into... I think we're going to do super strong. I don't know if it's necessarily... Actually, you know what? Nah, we're going OP. Because the armor is legitimately insane now. Like, if we go to Tankopedia, obviously we just had the armor changes. I don't know what's going on with my Blitz kit here. But yeah, if we go to the Lion, you'll notice that the turret armor is very strong on this tank, right? And the thing is, now that Cali was nerfed, you're basically just not able to cut through this tank's turret armor. I mean, it is very strong. And then you pair that with the fact that this vehicle also has 3000 DPM. It gets tungsten. It's a hull-down tank with good gun depression. Yeah, I don't know. I actually, I believe that I misjudged the Lion. We're going to put it into OP. I had a really fun time 3-marking it, and I genuinely believe with these changes, its armor has become even stronger, and it's just made the tank more capable. The Minnow is going to be making its way also into the OP category. Why? Because it's a 3-shell auto-reloader. And not only that, but its armor is truly insane now. See, obviously, the Minnow's always had very nice armor, but Wargaming a little while ago nerfed the lower plate. And what's funny is now that they've nerfed penetration, well, the lower plate is once again ridiculously strong. Like, as we can see, the lower plate at flat is like 255. I was using my WZ-132 the other day, and that was before the Cali changes. I could not pen the Minnow in the lower plate. Like, if it's just slightly angled like this, you're literally just not able to cut through it. It's that strong. And even loading gold, because of the Cali changes, this is what 340 mils of heat pen looks like. I mean, you're not able to pen the thing anywhere. And even if you are using Cali, that's it. That's the only weak point. It's 360 thick. Even that hatch is 290. So if you're using gun depression, that's what it looks like. You have to hit that little center bit, and that's over 330 thick. So if you're in a medium tank, you know, like an M60, now that you only have 320 pen, that's a Minnow. You physically cannot pen it hull down. And when you pair that with a gun that has decent DPM, people always try to say the Minnow doesn't have DPM. Sure, it's the lowest in the tank destroyers category, but 2600 is totally fine. It has good penetration, and it hits for 490. I mean, this thing can deal 1500 damage. And as you can see, if you dump the clip and shoot it properly, you have over 3400 DPM. So yeah, the Minnow is genuinely a ridiculous tank. That brings us to the Progetto 65, which I'll be putting into the super strong category. The Progetto is great in a couple different areas. It has a 3-shell auto-reloader, each shell dealing 360-50 damage per shot. It also features solid gun depression. It has great mobility, one of the highest top speeds for a medium with a fantastic power to weight. And it used to be really inaccurate. That was like the big thing I hated about the Prog. But now it's actually pretty good. With vertical stabilizers getting better and the vehicle featuring combat stabilization, it essentially doesn't have an accuracy problem anymore. So it's accurate, it's got great mobility, solid DPM, and really troll armor on the turret and hull. The Prog really doesn't have much of a downside. It's not anything OP, but it's definitely a capable tank, and it's something that I fear in a good player's hands. The Rhino, well, it is still pretty OP, I'm not going to lie. The Rhino got nerfed because the turret armor got a little bit weaker, and the gun got worse in the DPM department. However, with the calibrated shells change, you cannot pen a Rhino anymore hull down. Like, that's as simple as it is. If we were to pull up a Rhino armor profile, it is... Oh, that's not how you spell Rhino. There you go. But yeah, if we pull out the Rhino, like, we'll just load gold with this tank. So that is 340 mils of pen. And on flat ground, sure, you can cut through the turret. But if you are using gun depression, you're not cutting through that. It's 400 mils thick. And the hatch is the only weak point. And if you just stick the gun up a little bit, you can't hit it anymore. There's no weak point on the Rhino. I mean, even if you're only using a little bit of gun depression, you just can't pen the thing anymore because of the way the armor is and the changes to heat pen. I mean, the turret is just crazy strong. And even though the DPM's on the lower side, 2400 is still more than enough. You have good DPM due to a double shot 420 alpha, and not only that, you have great mobility and 10 degrees of gun depression, basically making this thing impossible to deal with when using its gun depression. It's a pretty dumb tank. So I'm also leaving the Rhino in OP. It's kind of funny how we actually have more tanks in OP currently than we do any of the other categories. We have the Stridsvon K, which I'll be putting into... I'm going to do average. The Stridsvon has some strengths. The gun, solid DPM. The penetration actually got a little better, but there's some problems with the Stridsvon. The gun is very troll. I don't really like the on-movement dispersion, and even though the V-Stab's change has buffed it slightly, it's still very frustrating in that regard. Turret armor did get better, but the weak points are still going to be weak points. Loading gold, you're going to cut through the cheeks and the roof pretty easily. The biggest problem with the Stridsvon is just the fact that there are better versions. The G-Sor, the tank, is, sure, doesn't have as high of a top speed, but it just features a substantially better gun. It features 12 degrees of gun depression instead of 10, and it has Hesh. So because of that, the Stridsvon is just kind of outclassed at this point. Personally, I think the Stridsvon should just get a bit of an armor buff, specifically on the turret. Make the turret a little bit better on the roof, maybe the cheeks a little bit stronger, and it's totally fine. But I don't think it's bad. It's just kind of average right now. TVP 5051, I'm going to put into super strong. It's got a really dangerous gun. A 3-shell, 330 alpha, which means you can deal like 900,000 damage in a very short time. It has an incredibly fast intra-clip of less than 2 seconds. It has good gun depression at 8 degrees, good mobility, and great accuracy. Everything about the TVP is genuinely really fun, and it's a fantastic tank to play. But the downside of the TVP, first of all, very poor penetration. It's one of the lowest pen mediums, and now that the pen got even worse, it can definitely struggle to cut through even other mediums now. And not only that, but the average player, not going to do great in this tank. It's large, it's exposed, it's very easy to hit with high explosive. I genuinely just don't see good people driving the TVP most of the time, but I do think in a good player's hands, it's crazy good. I played it just the other day and had some fantastic carries. So for me, I'm definitely going to put the TVP in the super strong. I don't think it's necessarily as strong as these tanks up here, but it definitely can hold its own. VZ55 might be the best tier 10, right up there next to vehicles like the Atlas. Why? Well, as I mentioned when comparing it to the BZT-70, it has a double shot 460 alpha, which alone allows it to deal 920 damage in 3 seconds. It has combat stabilization. It has APCR premium, meaning that it actually gained penetration in the latest update. It has good gun depression. It has great mobility, and it even has really good armor. So there's really nothing bad I can say about the VZ. There's genuinely no downsides. I mean, sure, you got a hatch, but like, who cares? It's not a big enough weak point to really put the tank down. It's a crazy good vehicle with the level of DPM it has too, like 26, 2700 DPM. There's just really nothing bad I can say about it, so it's definitely going to be staying in OP. Now we arrive to the Bosch Chatillon 25-ton. You got two guns for this vehicle, the 100mm and the 105. The 100mm is going to go in the super strong, and the 105 is going to go into good. The problem with the 105 is there's really no reason to run it anymore. The 100mm features the exact same clipping time. It's 6 seconds for both guns, but the 100mm has like 300 more DPM. It has better accuracy on move. It has better base dispersion. There's really not much of a reason to run the 105 apart from single shot trading, but because the 100 has such a faster clip reload, you're going to be a lot better off with the 100. So overall, yeah, I think the 100 is the way you should go. Both of them feature premium heat, which means both lost a decent amount of pen, only sitting at around 315 mils of heat. Pretty garbanzo beans. But the Batchat doesn't really need pen, because what it features is great mobility, an insanely dangerous clip, about 1,000 damage, and with shell reload boost, you can deal that 1,000 damage in like 3.5 seconds. It's really scary. And when you pair that with it getting spall liner and being one of the most annoying tanks due to the troll armor and bounces, yeah, the Batchat can be a very, very pestering little rat. So I'm definitely going to put it in the super strong. I don't think it's OP anymore, but I'd put it pretty comparable to the TVP in terms of its capabilities. We have the AMX 30B. This tank, well, it's got some good, it's got some bad. One of the good things about the 30B is that obviously now that vehicles have less pen, the armor on the turret is actually a decent amount better, right? I mean, if we look at the 30B here, its turret armor went from bad to good, from good to bad. I don't know, Wargaming just doesn't know what they want with the tank. But as we can see, with standard ammo, now that tanks all have a little bit less pen, it's actually going to be pretty challenging. Like, if you're running, which was what I'm going to run on the 30B enhanced armor, you can't pen the turret. Like, you're not cutting through. So you're going to have to load gold. And even loading gold, you're still going to struggle. Like, this tank genuinely has pretty good turret armor now. And then when you pair that with the fact that the upper plate's very troll, it has very nice DPM at 3,400, ranking it within the 7th best of the 22 mediums. It's got great overall accuracy, insane mobility. I actually think, believe it or not, the 30B is probably going to go into super strong now. Like, it's kind of got everything you'd want for a medium. It's like a Leopard, and it's like a CS63, but it's kind of better in the regard of being able to hold. You can't really hold in a CS or a Leopard if there's a hull down tank with decent armor against you. But the 30B kind of gets the capabilities of both. Sure, you got a little bit worse DPM, but you got everything else. So yeah, the 30B is actually genuinely pretty good now. We have the AMX 50B, which I'm not going to put in OP, but we'll definitely put super strong. It has 360 mils of APCR, which makes it like the highest APCR premium heavy now. It has really good mobility, a 3,000 damage clip, and 430 damage per shot with a pretty fast intro clip of 2.5 seconds. Genuinely, the 50B is just a great tank. When I 3-marked it, I averaged over 4,000, and that's just because of everything it has going for it. There are downsides. You're huge, horrible camo, and absolutely no armor, which are not a great combination. If you're a beginner, it's not a great tank. And even as a skilled player, while you can get out great games, it just takes one single Hesh shell from a 183 to completely ruin your game. So that's why I'm going to put it in the super strong instead of OP. I do believe there are some great capabilities, but I also believe there are some balancing factors that push it back down to earth. Now we have the Foch, and we have the AC SA58 Mod 2 and the base gun for the Foch. We're going to start with the Mod 2, which is the autoloader, and we're going to put the Foch with the autoloader into OP. First of all, the armor is truly unpennable now. Like, the Foch always had good armor, but now basically if you hide the lower plate or people shoot at your upper plate, they're just not able to pen you. I mean, the Foch upper plate is like 308. This is what it looks like against 390 pen, but like still, that is 350 mils of pen on flat ground to 378. So if we get like an average heavy, let's say an M6O, this is what you're looking at. This is your 340 mils of pen against a Foch. You can't pen it. And if it's using just a little bit of gun depression, like, that is ridiculous. Sure, the hatch is a weak point, but against standard ammo, you can actually bounce that hatch because of the way it's designed. It's like, the only real weak point is the lower plate or the tracks if you know where to aim. But just the fact that the Foch has this much armor and a double shotgun able to have over 3,100 DPM, crazy good mobility, and tungsten, yeah, I gotta say, I do think the Foch is going to go into OP. Single shot we'll put into super strong. It's not as good as the autoloader, so we'll just put it in the super strong. AMX M4 got a big buff. because V-stabs is obviously better now, and the AMX M4 really, really needs V-stabs to do good. So with the V-stabs change, that alone is pretty nice. And then when you pair that with the AMX getting even more upper plate armor, one of the downsides of the AMX was that, you could cut through the upper plate on flat ground. But now, if you're using the AMX M4, it's not really going to be the case anymore. I mean, if we pull out the armor on flat ground against heat shells, its upper plate is about 380. And if you're looking down on it, it used to be pretty weak, but now you're going to need a lot of pen, like 330 plus, so mediums aren't going to be able to pen you. Just on flat ground, the armor is like genuinely really good now. Heavies with higher heat pen would have been able to cut through. Now they're not able to. And then you pair that with the fact that against standard ammo, it's got a really troll lower plate. It's got very good armor in general. The gun has good DPM and capabilities. This thing is pretty crazy. I'm going to be putting the AMX M4 personally in the super strong because it's definitely where I feel like it should go overall. Projet Murat, I don't know where I want to put it, but I think we're going to go in OP. I know that some people are probably going to disagree with that, but the Murat's armor got substantially better, right? I mean, the Murat's always been a really good tank, but now that the armor is better on it, I mean, mediums are really going to have a hard time cutting through you. This is 259 mils of pen. You're not able to cut through because it's about 276 mils required. And even if you're loading gold, like, it's still pretty good armor because of the way it's designed. And this tank has very good heat pen. If you get a medium or, a tank that has less heat penetration, let's get like a T100 out. Like, I guess this tank is premium AP, but still, it's genuinely going to be pretty hard to cut through the Murat now, especially with heat shells. So not only that, you feature a double shotgun with 2800 DPM, which is actually quite nice. It's got 390 alpha, and it can deal the damage in 2 seconds. So basically, you deal the same damage as the Jagdpanzer with a top speed of 62, and you get the reserve track mechanic, plus 10 degrees of gun depression. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. It's a Baraskin tier 10. It's an insanely dangerous vehicle and an absolute bop to drive. We have the U100 with both the 15 centimeter and the 12.8. With the 12.8 having DPM and now the armor getting buffed and everything, I'm definitely going to put the 100 in the super strong. And with the 15 centimeter, I'm still going to put it in the super strong. I genuinely believe that both guns on the U100 are very good. And you might say, oh, well, why run the 15 centimeter and the 12.8 exist with its better DPM? But the thing is, with the 15 centimeter, you still have really good pen, over 300 and like almost 60 mils. And not only that, but you have 3 calibers rule, which means you can overmatch more armor. You hit a lot harder, which means you trade better. And most importantly, you have high explosive, and that high explosive can rock somebody's world. So there are some advantages with the 15 centimeter. Obviously, the advantage of the 12 is just the fact that it has better DPM, but both guns have their own strengths and weaknesses. But now that the turret armor on the 100 is substantially harder for mediums to cut through at all, and heavies to cut through, plus the fact that you now get more armor or HP, yeah, the E100 is pretty crazy. So I'm definitely going to leave it in the super strong category. E50M, ooh, this one's tricky. This one's tricky. I'm going to put E50M in the super strong. Turret armor on the E50M, it got nerfed, or I don't really know if it got nerfed, but it was a little bit mid in the previous update because heat shells could go right through it. That's no longer the case. If you have 316 mils of pen, this is what it looks like aiming it on an E50. It's got 321 mils of effective armor because of the enhanced buff and the calibrated shells nerf. So, in other words, just about every single tier 10 medium can no longer pen an E50M at all on flat ground. That's pretty insane. If you're using gun depression, most heavies are going to struggle to cut through the E50M. Pair that with the fact that this tank has great DPM at 3,300, good damage per shot, solid accuracy, crazy good mobility. Yeah, I mean, it's no real question about the 50M's capabilities. It is by far one of the most dangerous mediums when it's hiding that lower plate. You do not want to mess with it. Grill 15, this might surprise some of you. I'm actually putting it into OP. I'm so sick and tired of fighting grills. The grill used to be a tank that was pretty well balanced, but Wargaming just keeps buffing it. It's the same thing they did with the Leopard 1. It was balanced, and then they just keep buffing these tanks because they require skill, and instead of Wargaming learning that, gee, we should leave some skill-based tanks the way they are, they just keep buffing them. The grill went from being pretty average to getting gear oil, which alone was already enough. But then Wargaming decided, okay, let's buff its overall gun depression over the entire front. Okay, that's not enough. Let's also give it the ability to now turn the turret like 65 degrees to the left and to the right versus the 45 degrees it had previously. In other words, it can now shoot and drive into cover before even being spotted, let alone the fact that you now have enough gun arc that you can pull into cover without having to drive at a weird angle. Finally, we have TD camo values, and because they're still pretty strong, the grill actually gets away with good camo now. You add all that together, I genuinely believe the grill is a crazy good vehicle. I easily averaged over 4K when 3 marking it. It's just so stupid. The mobility, the DPM, everything it has going for it. It is a wild tank. And with APCR standard, it actually gained penetration, so can't really complain there, right? Jagdpanzer E100, I'm going to put into average. The problem with the Jag is it simply doesn't have flexibility. The armor on the front got better, right? I mean, the Jag actually has very good superstructure protection. If we take a look here and we type Jag, like the Jagdpanzer, where even is it? Jagdpanzer? What? I see the Kanonen. Oh, it's like a JG. That's right, because for some reason Blitzkit didn't type it out properly. But as we can see, if we get a tank like an E5 aiming in on the Jag, this is one of the highest heat pens. Base 340, like you're genuinely not cutting through a Jag. It's like 340 thick. And even if you're running calibrated shells, like if a Jag angles properly like this, look at this thing, dude. The lower plate is over 360. Side armor is 390. Even the turret is, or not the turret, but the entire superstructure is incredibly strong. So like if you angle the Jag properly, you're not going to be able to pen it with most tanks. So it can genuinely be very strong in terms of the armor. The problem is the fact that the gun is troll, which isn't great for a tank that sacrifices so much for the gun, and it's just so large. I mean, you only have 2,000 health. It needs more. And mediums still get to your side and rip you apart, and that's where you run into problems. But the armor definitely made it better. I'm always mixed on my my Jag opinions, but I think we're just going to leave it an average. We have the Kampfpanzer 50 ton, which we will put into super strong. It's got a great gun, super high DPM, good armor. Actually, better armor now because, again, tanks have less penetration, so it's actually going to be really good at getting bounces. And with the DPM and the tungsten and the overall mobility being great, yeah, I do think that the Kampfpanzer is going to be a very, very scary vehicle. But you also have the downside of still not great turret armor, pretty large exposed tracks, and the gun can be a bit troll sometimes. So that is one thing I should say, but I think we're definitely going to put in super strong. Leopard 1, I will also put in super strong. The Leopard features the highest DPM for a medium. It has great accuracy, solid penetration, and with the APCR standard, you now gained standard pen, which is very nice. The Leopard also has adaptive concealment, which means that you know who spotted you, and you're going to get unspotted faster. So the Leopard really has it all. There are some downsides, only 7 degrees of gun depression, it used to have 10. It also doesn't feature any armor, but honestly, it has enough armor, you're not going to be able to high explosive it that easily, so it's still genuinely a pretty dangerous tank. We're going to leave it in the super strong category. We have the Mouse, which I'm going to put also into super strong. The Mouse previously would have been like average to honestly bad, but the armor on the Mouse is actually pretty crazy now. Like I've driven the Mouse a bit, and you can get away with quite a lot. If we take a look at the Mouse and we pull out, you know, a Yo, putting on Cali, this is what a Mouse looks like. And you're like, oh, those are pretty weak turret cheeks, but look at this. I mean, you can't pen it. If you angle the Mouse properly, the front turret's about 368 and the side is about 400. You can actually angle it even a little steeper, and then it's 380 and 380. Point being, you're not able to pen a Mouse turret with any tier 10s anymore. I mean, any heavy is just not going to be able to cut through. You can see the lower plate is also not penetrable. Even if you're firing standard ammo, it's going to be pretty dang hard to cut through. Like, the Mouse genuinely has really good armor now. The upper plate is about 320. Even loading gold, you need like 340-ish mils a pen, 350. Honestly, it's still kind of sad that the Mouse upper plate is that weak, but it's better. The armor is better, and if you angle it, you're going to have a really strong upper plate, a really strong turret, a solid lower plate. Like, I mean, it's pretty good now. I got to say, the Mouse is pretty dang good now. You are not going to be able to pen this thing with standard ammo, and the armor is genuinely going to get a lot of bounces. So yeah, easily super strong. Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, I will also put in super strong. Solid gun, has tracer shells. It's got more penetration now because it has APCR, which is always nice. And not only that, but it's got adaptive concealment. It's got great mobility. It's got a bunch of consumables like tungsten, gear oil, everything you'd want. Genuinely, it's a solid tank. The only problem I have with the Rheinmetall is the gun isn't very accurate. The gun is not the strength of the vehicle, it's the overall spotting and, flexibility capabilities that you have. So I'm going to leave it in super strong. There's definitely nothing OP about the tank. VK72, I'm going to put in, I think we're going to do good. There are some nice things about the VK72. Its armor is pretty strong, but the lower plate is still basically a pen for anything that loads gold. The turret armor, it's not the best. It hasn't really changed much. And the gun, while it does hit hard, lost penetration. So generally, most tanks shooting at the VK aren't going to struggle any more to cut through it, but the VK is going to struggle more to cut through enemies. I don't think it's bad by any means, but I do feel that it's a bit lacking right now. I think the lower plate on the VK, or not even the lower plate, I think the side armor should still be buffed. That's what I've been saying for years. Buff the side armor, give it a little bit better side scraping capabilities. It doesn't need to be anything insane, just enough that you can actually side scrape and get bounces, but I don't think Wargaming will ever do it. We have the VK90, which I'm going to put into OP. The VK90 is pretty stupid now. The lower plate is insane. That's really as simple as it is. Like, if we pull out the VK, and we put on enhanced armor, and then we pull out, a 57 heavy. This is what standard ammo looks like aiming in on your VK90. Like, the lower plate's 300. Even against gold, it's like, at the outer bits, 330 to 320. I mean, obviously, if you're loading Cali, you can cut through it, but, like, still, the fact that at an angle like this, with gold, the VK90 has this much armor, it's pretty insane. Like, I don't even know what else to say. It is pretty insane. Even, like, directly dead on the lower plate is very, very troll. With gold, sure, the turret cheeks are pennable, but they're not an easy pen. It's still requiring 315 mils, and it's just very hard to hit those weak points when you can turn the turret to the left and to the right and completely gun block. And that's why the VK90 is a super scary tank. That armor is, it's dumb. It's very dumb. So I'm putting it in OP. Waffen F1, I'm going to put into... we're going to put it into the trash category because TD camo got worse. And this is both guns, by the way, the 5-shot and the 3-shot. But yeah, because TD camo values actually got nerfed in the latest update, and the penetration on this vehicle got worse because of the calibrated shells change, and the base dispersion got worse because of refined gun getting changed, yeah, I think the Waffen F1's pretty bad. It's not bad in every game, but it's just like you make zero impact in the battles you play because you're so large and so easy to hit. Why drive a Waffen when you can drive a T-57 Heavy and you can deal 1,200 or 1,100 damage substantially faster, have more hit points, and a much better profile to use, right? That's the problem. Even the 4005. It's just... I think right now the Waffen needs a buff. Personally, I'd give it Spall Liner, and I'd give it much better camo. Buff its camo by about maybe 10, 12%. At that point, it would actually be decent. But right now, it just really struggles in that regard, so we're going to put it into the trash category. Hori. Well, the Hori, it's pretty dumb now. I have to say, Wargaming didn't really think the Hori through. Because the Hori has already had very good armor. For any of you that don't know the Hori armor profile, it's very strong. Like, let's go and get... I don't remember what I was in. I think I was in an FEE Defender yesterday. And I was trying to pen the Hori. So if we get the FE Defender, this is what it looked like when I was aiming it on the Hori. It was actually harder than that, though. It was red. Like, I couldn't cut through the thing. The fact of the matter is that the Hori has about 280 millimeters of effective armor now, which means that, like, if the thing's angled properly, you cannot cut through the superstructure with most mediums, especially lower tier. Standard ammo will not be able to pen the Hori at all, ever. And then you pair that with the fact that the Hori itself, it didn't really change. It lost 2% of its pen, which means that you still have 330 on the standard, 403 on the gold. Like, you're not getting any troubles with your pen. Like, the Hori is just dumb. I don't know what else to say. It gets reactive armor. It gets a crazy, stupid armor profile, which got even better. It's a dumb tank. STB1, we're going to put into super strong. The STB actually kind of got buffed because mediums are going to have a harder time cutting through your turret cheeks. And the premium AP only lost 2% of its pen. Where if you're running heat, like a Leopard 1 or a Kampfpanzer, you lost 7% of your pen. So you're basically having a much lesser impact on the STB, on your overall pen values, than if you were driving a Leopard, a Kampfpanzer, or a medium that fires heat, which actually means the STB, it basically just got buffed versus the rest of the mediums. Type 5 heavy, we are going to put into super strong. Type 5's armor got obviously a lot better with these changes, which means that you'll get more bounces and you'll be able to survive longer. The gun has premium AP, which means that it really didn't change too much in terms of the overall penetration, and because it has a ridiculous amount of hit points, you can kind of get away with whatever you want right now, but there are still downsides. You're super large, which means that anything getting to your side is going to farm you out. You have horrible camo. That's why it's not going into OP. It still has a lot of downsides, but genuinely, I think super strong is where we're going to leave it. Type 71, OP. First of all, AP premium. Even though it got slightly nerfed, it's still some of the best penetration in tier 10 for a heavy. It has crazy armor now. You're not going to pen the upper plate with most tier 10 mediums, and even heavies, if angled properly, are really going to struggle with the Type 71. You pair that with the fact that it actually has pretty good mobility and insane traverse speed when running improved control, and the type can kind of get away with a lot. So yeah, Type 71 for me, it's going to be easily in the OP category. Chieftain Mark 6 lost a bit of penetration, again, because of the Kali changes. However, the armor didn't really change much. The mobility didn't really change much. Nothing about the tank really changed. So for me, I'm going to put the Chieftain in the super strong. It's got tungsten, it's got great mobility, it's got a very dangerous gun, and because of that, it's an amazing tank. Yeah, Chieftain's always been a great tank, and it's still going to be a great tank. You know, vehicles that don't fire premium, like the BZ-75 and the Chieftain that have Hesh, they're the same because their pen values didn't really change much. They weren't going to cut through a VK-72 lower plate or a mouse turret cheek to begin with, so with these changes here, it really didn't affect them at all. FE2 and 5B 183, we're going to put into, I think we're going to go average. The 183, it's not bad, but with the TD camos getting nerfed and accuracy getting worse, overall it means that the 183 kind of got hit pretty dang hard. It's just a lot worse than it was before, and I'm totally fine with that. So generally, the 183 is going to go into average. FE2 and 5B, easily OP. The FE2 and 5B has pretty mid armor, or at least it had pretty mid armor. But for some reason, Wargaming was inclined to buffing the armor on the upper plate. I, to this day, do not understand why they decided to do this, but with the upper plate armor getting buffed, it now means that on flat ground, you need over 275 mils of pen to reliably cut through this thing. Which means that, yeah, you're not able to really cut through a 2 and 5 anymore on the upper plate. Like, at a slight angle like this, you can't pen the sides, you can't pen the upper plate because it's over 280, so you're going to have to load gold. And, you know, even if you have heat shells, you're going to need like 340 mils of pen to cut through this thing. So if you're just using slight gun depression, this is what a Yo sees, right? If you're using slight gun depression like this is only 4 degrees. Your entire upper plate's not penetrable. The turret is insanely strong. I really don't know why Wargaming decided to buff the 2 and 5B's upper plate by 20 mils a couple updates ago, but because of that, especially with the insane DPM, the high explosive hit features, the ridiculously strong turret armor, the 2 and 5B got a massive buff. It also features APCR premium, so it really didn't get nerfed at all. It's going to be an OP. We have the Badger, which I'm going to put in the super strong. Badger armor is basically impervious now. I got to say, like, when using gun depression, you're not going to be cutting through the Badger anymore. And we can see that. If I type Badger, here we go. You're going to see that the armor is pretty crazy now. So if we pull out heat, this is 370 mils of pen. And even then, you're still struggling to cut through. But yeah, if we get like an E5, which has some of the highest pen in tier 10, this is what you're looking at in the heavies category. On flat ground, mind you not. Like, that's it. That's the only weak point. If this tank's using just a little bit of its gun depression, you physically can't cut through the Badger anymore. Like, that armor is not to be messed with at all. And when you pair that with the fact that not only does it have crazy good armor, but it also features a gun that still has really good pen. It has great DPM. Its on move is finally good. And with improved control getting buffed, the Badger can actually turn pretty quick. Yeah, the Badger is definitely super strong for me. The 4005 is still the same. It actually got buffed because it fires APCR standard, so that's better. It also still has reticle Kali, great mobility. It's still an incredibly stupid tank with a double shot 650 alpha. It's just OP. That's really all I can say. I mean, the fact that you're able to deal 1,300 damage in like 4 seconds it's mind-blowingly stupid. Especially because the tank is mobile, has 10 degrees of gun depression, and better camo than a Grill 15 for some reason. Like, it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. 4005 is stupid. We have the FE4202 with both the guns, the Royal Ordnance and the L7B. The Royal Ordnance literally got a flat nerf because it fires heat, so because of that, we're going to put it into good. And then we have the L7B, which we'll put in the super strong because it's Hesh firing. As I said, Hesh firing vehicles didn't really change all too much. And the thing about the 4202 is that its turret armor is actually going to be pretty decent now. If we take a look at the turret armor, you'll notice that against standard rounds, it's actually going to be pretty troll. Like if you're running enhanced armor, there's definitely some goofy spots now. If you hit anywhere on the outer bits, you're going to ricochet. So it's not great, but it's enough armor that you will get bounces. The upper plate is still ridiculously strong. It's not bad. And when you pair that with the gun getting better on movement dispersion, which was its major problem, it's just a lot better. We have the Super Conqueror, which gained penetration because it has a PCR. It also gains armor or hit points depending on what you want to run. And, well, it did get a slight nerf with the refined gun changes, but overall, the Super Conqueror is still a pretty crazy tank with 10 degrees of gun depression, great armor, great mobility for what it is. It's genuinely going to be a super strong tank for me. Vickers Light, well, I'm not really sure what to say. It's a Hesh firing vehicle, but doesn't really have great armor to begin with, so it doesn't really matter in that regard. DPM penetration didn't really change. I'm just going to put the Vickers Light into good. It's got some strengths, you know, it's got good mobility, and it's got a nice gun, but it's also got some massive weaknesses. Not having premium, especially when you are going to struggle to cut through most mediums, it's definitely something to think about, and the Hesh doesn't even hit that hard with 350 damage. You're still getting out-traded even if you pen your Hesh by, like, all tier 10s. So it is a problem in that specific scenario. I don't hate the Vickers Light, but I also don't love it. So for me, I'm just going to put it in the good. Concept 1B, I mean, it didn't change. Sure, the pen kind of sucks now, but it doesn't really matter when you can't pen the thing hull down. It's physically impossible to pen when using its gun depression. You pair that with pretty good mobility, 45 kilometer per hour top speed, and really good accuracy. Concept is still a really stupid tank. The fact that Wargaming decided to make it a double shot was the dumbest decision of the century. I really don't understand how they thought that was a good idea. It needs to go back to its single shot variant. I don't even care if they buff the pen, but that's definitely something that's very frustrating about tier 10 right now. We have the M6 with both the 120mm and 105. We'll start with the 105, which I'll put in the super strong, and we're going to put the 120 into OP. The only reason I think the 105 isn't OP is because it's not that crazy in terms of a gun. Like, sure, it's got 3k DPM and 3 shells dealing 900 damage, but I mean, there's plenty of other vehicles which can deal 900 damage. The VZ55 is able to deal, 920 in 3 seconds, which is faster than the EO's clipping time. We have the 50B and even the 57 Heavy can deal more damage in a shorter amount of time. So, like, sure, you've got good gun depression and capabilities, but, like, if you're going to run the triple shot, just use a Cron. You're not really sacrificing that much in DPM. But the double shot is really where the EO shines because you're able to deal 450 damage twice in 1.71 seconds, which means that you can deal 900 damage in a second and a half about. I mean, what are you going to do to counter that? You can't. If it shoots you, you're done. I just carried a game yesterday on live stream where I literally obliterated a Caro because the little corner of his track wheel was showing. I used Reticle Cali. Boom, boom, dead. It's pretty insane what you can do with the M6 shows. So yeah, we're going to be putting it into OP. We have the M48 Patton, which we're going to put in the super strong. The Patton is basically unpenetrable, and this is the same for the M60. Like, the thing is, now that we have the penetration nerfed, I mean, this is what mediums are going to see when aiming in on a Patton. That's what they're going to look at. The weakest part of the turret is 320. And if you're using gun depression, I mean, good luck. You need 340 mils at minimum, so even heavies aren't really going to pen the Patton. So the armor is really, really good on this thing. And then you pair that with gear oil, great mobility. Yeah, you're not really going to do much to the Patton. It's going to go into super strong. And the M60 is the exact same way. It's got a similar gun in terms of capabilities, actually one more degree of gun depression. It's got the same armor. The hatch is pretty small, but slightly bigger than the M48's. But in general, both of the tanks are similar in their capabilities, so I'm going to leave them both in super strong. We have the T110E3, which I'm going to put in super strong as well. The E3 used to be kind of mid. I'd probably put it in good in the past, but now that its traverse speed is really solid, it doesn't struggle anymore. Like, the E3 already has decent traverse speed, and in the latest update, improved control got buffed, which means that the E3 can turn pretty quick, like 40 degrees a second. And when you pair that with the fact that it has APCR, which means it actually gained penetration, you pair that with the fact that it hits very hard, the on-move buffs with V-stabs actually make it more accurate when snapping shells, and the mobility isn't that horrible due to super speed boost. Yeah, the E3 it's pretty dang good, I gotta say. It's pretty dang good, especially with 8 degrees of gun depression and an impossible armor profile to cut through. We have the E4, which fires heat as premium, has pretty good armor, has a solid gun and okay mobility. We'll also put the E4 into super strong. I think both the E3 and E4 are pretty comparable to each other. Like, they fulfill very different roles. People that think, oh, the E3 and E4 are similar, they're not. Just because they have similar names and similar looks does not mean they're similar tanks. The E4 is much better for kind of corner poking, snapping, backing to cover. The E3 is much better for just sitting on a ridgeline. So there's big advantages and disadvantages. But I do think that the E4 is great. It has over 3k DPM, great penetration, solid mobility, and it's got a lot of hit points for a tank destroyer. So in general, I'd say the E4 is actually a great tank and no complaints. E5, also super strong. The turret armor got better. The E5 basically is not pennable when using gun depression now. It's kind of like what the Concept 1B was in the past. Like, if we pull out the E5, you'll see that with enhanced armor, the turret with 360 mils of pen is physically not penetrable. I mean, the weakest points are like 380. Even if you're not running enhanced, like, you're still basically not cutting through an E5 turret. It's ridiculous. And then you pair that with the fact that the tank also has 2,900 DPM and some of the best accuracy and penetration in the game, great mobility. Like, where's the downside? There really isn't much of one. E5's definitely going in the super strong. We have the 57 heavy, super strong. It's got a 3. Actually, you know what? No. I'll put it into the OP. Why? A couple of reasons. First of all, the 57 heavy got better armor. Why did Wargaming want the 57 heavy to have this much armor? I really don't know, but it has one of the goofiest armor profiles in the game. This is what it looks like when aiming in on a 57 heavy. And like, the thing is, sure, you can pen it in the bits here and here, here and here, but like, look how troll that is, bruh. Like, when this thing's using gun depression, that's what you have to hit. And if the tank moves its turrets to the left and right like this, it's very hard to precisely hit that, let alone the fact that if your shell misses anywhere, you're basically bouncing. Now, if you load gold, you have more of a chance of penning, but then you can hit these stupid little spaced bits here, and they're constantly changing due to the way the armor is. Like, it's ridiculous. And then pair that with the fact that the 57 heavy has 2,900 DPM and 1,125 clip, which you can deal all that damage in an incredibly fast time. I mean, with shell reload boost active, it's a 1.68 second intra clip. So that means it's about 3.2 seconds of total dumping time. That's just stupid. It's just stupid. The 57 heavy, it's gotten better because of the armor getting more troll and the overall capabilities of the tank not really changing. E6, super strong. It's got great turret armor. It's got really good mobility, solid DPM, but it lost a bit of pen. So overall, still a very good tank, but a little bit worse due to the pen changes. Sheridan Missile doesn't really count because it is not a tank you can play in pub, so we're not going to count that. Sheridan, still going into OP. Nobody's going to change my mind on that. 570 damage per shot, 10 degrees of gun depression, great accuracy on move, even better with the V-stabs changes, great view range, ridiculously troll armor, not even mentioning the fact it's completely covered in spaced armor, so you can't even HE the thing. And when you add all of that with the fact that it still has some of the highest heat pen for a medium or light, it's pretty dumb. Sheridan, for me, sticks in OP. XM66F, the armor didn't really change because of the weak point on the mantlet. DPM, penetration, all of them are pretty similar when it comes to the flexibility and mobility. I'd say it really didn't change much in that regard, so we're just going to leave it in super strong. The XM has some great strengths. Solid mobility for what it is, good reverse speed, 10 degrees of gun depression, but the gun's very troll, and there are some annoying quirks about the vehicle. As I mentioned, you can go right through the gun mantlet, but I do think it is a super strong tank, so we're going to leave it there. IS-4, also super strong. The armor on the IS-4 just got better. The upper plate is stronger. The sides are better. The gun, even though it lost pen, still has some of the highest pen, like 360 heat, which means you're still going to cut right through mouse turrets. You're going to cut right through an E100 turret. Armor still isn't going to be a problem. You're going to go right through the lower plate of an IS-4. So you have pen. You have decent mobility for super speed boost and the armor that you have. So yeah, the IS-4 is a pretty strong heavy, and it's going to be in super strong for me. IS-7, also going to be super strong. It got more pen. It has APCR, so it has even more penetration now. It has 460 alpha with tungsten, and the armor is honestly pretty wild, because the armor on the IS-7 has always been very strong, but now that the upper plate got buffed because of these Kali changes, it's pretty crazy now. I mean, this is what you're looking at on flat ground. Let's get like a 57 heavy. This is 350 mils of pen. I mean, if you're just hiding the lower plate, even on flat ground, you can't pen an IS-7 anymore. And with standard ammo and enhanced, like, that is very impressive armor, as we can see. And then you pair that with the fact that the gun on the IS-7 got more pen, as I mentioned. You're now featuring 340 mils of APCR. Like, genuinely, it's pretty crazy. I'm leaving the IS-7 in super strong. Object 140, we'll put in a good. It's got some nice things going for it. Good mobility, really solid DPM, a very troll armor profile due to the turret and the way that the thin bar on the side works. But the 140 also lacks penetration now, and it still doesn't have good armor and gun depression, so I think good is where we'll leave it. Object 260, you know what? I haven't played the 260 since the changes, but one thing I do want to very briefly check is, has the armor actually changed at all, or is it still pretty garbanzo beans? So let's take a look. Here we go. Let's put on enhanced armor, and this is what it looks like when aiming 330 mils of heat. I mean, it's not bad. It's just like, if you even angle it an inch to the left or to the right, you're cutting right through. And not only that, but even with standard ammo, you're still cutting right through the armor on the Object 260. The lower half of the turret is still incredibly weak. The side armor is still pretty weak. And with the gun lacking penetration at 330, yeah, I think we're going to just leave it in, like, average. It's got some good things going for it, but, like, I still don't understand why you would ever drive a 260 when an E6 exists. That's really how I look at it. Also, I think I've noticed... Oh, no, G-Sor the tank is here. I thought I was missing G-Sor, but we're all good. Next, we have the Object 263, which basically you can't pen the superstructure anymore. It's physically impossible to pen the superstructure because it's about 380 to 400 thick. Kali changes, you're not going to be penning it even in most tank destroyers. 263 got better on move, which is great because you can hit your shells easier. Its traverse speed is even better if you're running the traverse equipment. So yeah, 263 for me. I'm going to put it in the super strong. It's a crazy good tank with the level of DPM sitting at almost 3,800. It actually has really good pen now. A lot of people don't realize this, but the 263 has over 300 millimeters of standard pen. It's not even mentioning the gold pen being pretty solid. The armor is really strong, mobility is great, and really the only downside is that it has 4 degrees of gun depression. But trust me, if you know how to make it work, it's going to work well. The Object 268 version 4 goes in OP. Didn't used to be, but you're not going to be penning it really that much anymore with your average tier 10 heavy. If we pull out the V4, where is it? Boom, 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 boom. Why is it not showing up? Okay, I guess I got to type in 26. Nope, I mistyped again. 268. Here we go. So if we take a look at the 268 armor, you can see that the lower plate is like 345 mils thick. If we get like your average heavy again, this is what an M6 sees. I mean, you're not penning that lower plate anymore. It's 350 to 340. And if you're angling it ever so slightly, like, you're just not cutting through that. Not only that, but the superstructure is going to be basically impervious. Everywhere you need 360, so you're just not really able to pen the V4 anymore. So that's kind of why it's so dumb. With better on move and solid DPM and still pretty good pen because it's a tank destroyer, you're really not going to struggle at all in the V4, but your enemies, they are. We have the Object 268, which I'm going to put into, we'll do super strong. It's got a good gun, right? It's got really, really nice mobility. Hits hard with 680, 70 alpha. And when you pair that with the fact that it's got solid gun depression, the best camo values for a tank destroyer in tier 10, I can't really say anything negative about it. It's just the jack of all trades for TDs. It's got armor, it's got mobility, it's got DPM, it's got it all. So Goes right into super strong. We have the 777, which the armor didn't really change much. The gun still has very good penetration, and because of that, we're going to leave it in super strong. I think it's genuinely still a great tank. I mean, honestly, the armor maybe even got a little better because the turret is a bit harder to cut through now with heat, but in general, it didn't really change much. It's just as good as it was previously, so I can't really say anything about it. We have the Object 907. Its turret armor actually got better, which is really nice, and apart from that, not much of a change. Overall, hull armor's pretty weak. The gun, less pen, but still very accurate. Still has tracer shells, so we're going to leave it in super strong. T100 LT, didn't really change much in terms of pen. Didn't really change much in terms of armor or mobility or anything, so we'll leave it in super strong, just as I have in the past. It's just a great tank. You have DPM, you have armor for a light tank that's very troll. You have one of the best camo values and still really, really scary gun capabilities because it has AP premium. So for me, T100 LP is going to stay in super strong. T22 medium, I'm going to go into OP. T22 has always been really good, but now that the armor got even better with enhanced and players have less penetration, it means that the armor, which was already crazy, is even harder to cut through. Pair that with the fact that you have tungsten, great DPM, and insane traverse speed if you're running improved control. And yeah, the T22 it's pretty wild, so we're going to leave it in OP. T62A, you know what, I'm interested. What is the T62A upper plate? Because obviously tanks have less pen. I'm really interested to see how this armor is going to look. I have not played the 62A, but I'm just interested to see how the armor looks on flat ground. So against, I mean, it's still a pen. If you angle it properly, I don't know why my blitzkit stopped working there for a moment. Let's see if that solves the problem. No, it's still a little buggy, but either way, if we take a look at the armor, we can see that the turret is crazy strong. You're not really cutting through the turret, but the upper plate, it's good. It's not great. You're going to need 290 mils to cut through it on flat ground. I would say we're going to put it in good. I don't think it's anything crazy, especially with the heat pen getting worse, but I think that the armor and the overall mobility and flexibility still allow the 62A to be a very, very dangerous vehicle. We have the NC70 Błyskawica, and, well, the Błyskawica got, I would say, a pretty big buff. I'm going to reload Blitzkit, and hopefully it'll work now. I don't know how to spell Błyskawica. I'm going to do BYS. There you go. I thought that's kind of how you do it. But if we take a look at the tank, the armor on flat ground, if we're putting on enhanced armor, and we get a 57 heavy, this is what it looks like against heat now. Previously, it would have been a pen. But because with Kali getting nerfed and enhanced armor getting buffed, you're literally not able to pen this tank on flat ground. So if you're able to hide that lower plate, it's going to be really good. And then when you pair that with the fact that if you are using gun depression, like that is genuinely crazy armor, 400 mils thick. This tank got buffed in that regard. It also features APCR standard and premium, meaning that your standard penetration is 302 and your premium is 398, making this one of the highest pen vehicles. V-stabs got buffed, which means that it's more accurate, and the traverse speed got buffed with improved control, basically meaning every single regard to the Błyskawica just got better. I'm going to be putting it in the super strong now. It's genuinely a crazy good tank. G-Sor, the tank, is OP. It has 12 degrees of gun depression. It has the highest DPM in the heavies category, a very good top speed of 40 with a very solid power to weight ratio, and it has Hesh, which does 400 damage per shot. So you add all that together, there's really no downside. I mean, the turret armor isn't great, but it's not bad either. People are going to bounce you. G-Sor, the tank, is a ridiculously stupid, unfair vehicle. Goes into OP. Felice, again, it's not much of a question here. The Felice has some of the best armor in the game. Almost 2,800 health. A 4-shell, 440 alpha auto reloader, which allows you to kind of do whatever the heck you want and not get punished. You pair that with the fact that it also doesn't even have the worst mobility ever and good gun depression. Like, yeah, the Felice's dumb. These tanks are pretty brain dead so far in the choice department. Kampfpanzer 70, we are going to put into super strong. The turret armor is actually really good now. It was 50-50 on whether you were going to pen it with most tier 10s, but now that tier 10s have less pen, they're genuinely not going to be cutting through the KPZ turret. And you pair that with the fact that it has great mobility, solid DPM, tungsten. The only real loss was that the Kampfpanzer now has a lot worse penetration. But apart from that, it's still an amazing tank. I love the gun on the tank. It really is amazing. We have two vehicles left. We have the Atlas and the SPHT. And I think it's pretty obvious that both of these tanks are making their way into the OP category. The Atlas, I mean, first of all, the gun's nice. Both guns are nice. You have either an autoloader 2800 EPM or a single shot with like 2500 EPM. Either way, both guns are very nice, but it's not really the gun that we're here to talk about. It's the armor. This is what the Atlas looks like with 353 mils a pen, which is some of the highest you'll find in the heavies category. The only real weak points are these two little boobs on the left and the right, but the turret is physically impossible to pen on the Megamind side. This part is basically impossible to pen, so if you're using gun depression, that's it. Those are your two weak points, and if the vehicle's wiggling back and forth, those are not going to be easy to hit. On flat ground, the upper plate is virtually unpenetrable, as we can see, and even the lower plate is very troll due to these cutouts on the left and to the right. Look at the side armor. Look at how much you can over-angle this tank, and you still cannot cut through the side. This is what an Atlas looks like with standard ammo, and this is what it looks like with gold. It really doesn't change much. It is a ridiculously strong vehicle, and because of that, it's stupid good. The SPHT is also pretty crazy now because the armor basically got buffed a substantial amount. This is what the SPHT looks like against standard ammo on flat ground. You're not able to pen it because 270 to 280 mils is required to cut through this thing on flat. So you're going to have to load gold if you're going to want to pen it. And even then, it's got a decent amount of armor on flat ground against gold. But it gets better because if you're using gun depression, this is now what you're going to see with some of the highest heat pen. This is 358 mils of heat. And even then, the left and right of the turret, you're not able to pen. The upper plate, you're not able to pen. And remember, this tank has 3,500 health. It has 2,900 DPM. It has good accuracy. It has great penetration. If you get your average tier 10 heavy penetration values, this is what you're looking at. I mean, that is very strong armor. It's really good. And because it's got this goofy bottom half, you can get bounces there. Like, you angle this thing properly, it's going to be troll. People are going to bounce the SPHT, and when you pair that with the gun, it is not a joke. This tank is OP as hell. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is every single vehicle 3 marked in tier 10. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know that this was a long video, but I wanted to make it as clear and concise as possible. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.